Hey, in this video we're going to be showing you an example of swing operation. So it could be done a true swing, which means you have a swing operation switch for a specific car to take it out of the group and use its own inconspicuous riser, auxiliary riser, and that switch will usually be wired to your car operating panel or an input board on the controller as well. Another option for putting a car on swing operation is to keep it in the group still, but you would turn on an input and it'll send it to an input output board of the group, which is the SCION board. That will change the configuration on the group, and it'll change it to like a configuration 2 or 3 to change the hall call eligibility, which will then allow that specific car, another car, to answer an IR riser, or inconspicuous riser, auxiliary riser, or even a rear riser. So there's quite a few things to check on the swing operation. The very first example that I'm going to show you is doing a switch to the car to take it out of the group, where that car uses its own hall call driver and auxiliary riser, which is the most common way of a true definition of a swing operation. So stay tuned and hopefully you enjoy this video, helps you out. Here are some things to check on your iView software. So you're going to connect to iCue, and local cars, that'll be the swing car with its own hall call driver. So in this case we have local cars, car 2, which would be our DC controller. So we need to make sure that that's there. Going to minimize that. We are connected to the swing car, our IDC. Right now, as you can see, as we have DVD mode activated, it's in the group right now. So it'll answer hall calls or DVD calls in the group. So now we want to go to View, Configuration, IO boards. And you guys might have a swing operation switch programmed in your COP. So you guys might have a COP board here. You click it, press View. It might be swing operation switch in one of these boards. So we're just going to delete that for now. In this case, we have a swing operation switch on the MIAC board on the car top cabinet. So that's on top of your car. You have a switch there. So we're gonna click View. So it says we have programmed input 8 for swing operation switch. So I'm gonna flip that switch, input 8 on. Input 8 is now on swing operation. We're gonna go back to operational status. It's now on swing operation. When it's a true swing and it has its own hall call driver for hall call eligibility, you're not going to be going to iCue anymore. You're not going to be doing any of that for the swing car. You're going to be connecting to the actual swing car, and you have these two options up here, controller or system. They might be controller or system located here or over there, depending on which software you have. But you're going to want to click on System. Alright. So here is where you're going to need to set up your hall call eligibility. So we'll go to hall call eligibility, Bank A, select a car to configure 2. So here, as you can tell, we have check marks for front aux up and front auxiliary down for the 4th floor. Select a hall call configuration. We're on 1. Hall call eligibility, what's active right now? It's 1. So here's what I'm going to show you of a car with its own hall call driver. We're going to grab a flathead screwdriver. So here we have a hog haul driver that's inside of the auxiliary car. This is for a true swing. So we have this cable, serial cable. It's also connection for your serial hog haul. It could be port 1, port 2, port 3, but this needs to be connected or else you're going to get a hog haul bus failure. You also want to make sure you have this blue and orange twisted pair on your IMP board as well, and that's connected right there to +5 and 1. So you want to make sure that you have your, also the blue and orange twisted pair will go out of your hog haul driver and it'll go down to the DIN rail down here, so it'll be labeled SHCC, SHCS. You also need to make sure that the hog haul driver is powered on with 1 and 2H, 120 volts AC there. Your cable is good, everything's plugged in. You shouldn't have a hog haul bus failure when you're on swing operation. So we're going to close this back up. So as you can tell, we have nothing plugged in here yet. So now that the car is out of the group here, we're gonna connect here. Remember, we have the front aux up, front aux down. We're gonna go to View, Configuration, Tabs, System I/O. So we have it for the 4th floor label 4, front aux up and front aux down. So we're gonna go to 04 on the System I/O page. So we're gonna scroll all the way down to 040 is for hog haul down auxiliary front, 042 hog haul up auxiliary front for 442 right there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on the bus tab and we're gonna select a bus, which is, you know, it should be hog haul bus 1 since it's its own hog haul driver. We're gonna click on input inventory. So as you notice here, we have nothing plugged in to our hog haul driver for SHCC and SHCS. So we're going to go down to 042 and 040. I'll be showing you a page here on how to set it up, because you could also set up your auxiliary riser as a front main down or front main up as well, or rear, depending on how you have it programmed in your iView software and how you have your jumpers on your HCNT board. The HCNT boards are the boards that are behind your up and down push buttons. So it's not recognizing any of the boards yet. So what we're gonna do is, for an example, we have an HCNT board here. All right. So I'm going to explain this HCNT board. Alright, so floor address X10, that's a 0. Floor address X1, that's a 4, indicating that this board is for the 4th landing. We have a 0 for down and a 2 for up on the top right hand side of this HCNT board. So you always want to look at your prints too on the swing car, so it'll show you if it's going to either be programmed for front main up, front main down, which it'll be 6 and 4, or if it's actually going to be an auxiliary. So we're going to get this board here, and we're going to have it there. And we're gonna plug these in to the correct terminals. It's always best to have these like in a cardboard with some, you know, on top of bubble wrap. You don't want to short out anything. But I've done this several times, so kind of know what I'm doing here. It's an example, so you can plug in one board at a time just to get familiar with how the swing works. Or you can plug in your entire auxiliary riser if need be. All right. Tug on those wires, make sure they're nice and tight on there. So one good way to know we have correct voltage out of your hall call driver is to measure across SHCC and SHCS to make sure that you're getting your correct 24 to 30 volts DC to your riser. So here we have it plugged. So now we have a button plugged in. Now we're going to do an input inventory. All right. So let's just do an input inventory again. Now it noticed the board, so it sends a signal to the riser and, you know, receives the board. So here the system, the conspicuous riser, that hall call driver, the true swing, it recognized that board. So it's still not recognizing anything else. So you guys might have more check marks here too, but in this case we're just showing you an example of how the swing operation switch will work. So it recognized the board there. The car is out of the group, not answering any DBD calls or any front main, front up, down calls. It's using its own riser. What you can do too to initiate a call is you can grab this board and you could jump up plus to up minus on here to initiate an up hall call, or even a down plus to down minus with the jumper to initiate a down hall call. One good way to test it too is to have someone out in the hallway press the button, or if it's already plugged in, or even jump it out in the machine room. Is when you jump the up plus to up minus, or when you press the up button it jumps basically up plus to up minus, is you want to see these LEDs turn on for inputs. So you can tell that the car right now is at the 3rd floor. So this is car 2. Car 1 is not part of the inconspicuous riser. So I'm gonna jump up plus to up minus, and you're gonna see this input light go on high, and then the output lights should stay latched. I'm gonna jump up plus to up minus. Took the car a little further away to initiate a up hall call at the 4th floor. So you want to view that input light on there. So there you go, that output light is still on, indicating that it's still latched. And there it goes. So it's a true swing operation. So you want to check connect to the swing car when it's on swing operation. Check the system configuration, hall call eligibility, bank A, select the swing car, which is 2. Make sure you have your check marks there. Make sure your node jumpers are correct, matching the prints. And then you want to do an input inventory, and then it should recognize all of the current AT&T node boards that you have plugged in. What I like to do when I go to job sites and I bring one AT&T board to the machine room, and I just grab an alligator jumper here, and then you can just jump up plus to up minus, just like that. Close those contacts and should be good. One thing to check too is we get a lot of questions asking if do you need that switch to use the inconspicuous riser for a true swing. You don't. You can go to click back to the controller. You can go to view, configuration, car operation. You can click on passenger. So you have this option over here, automatic swing operation. So enabled. This will override the input swing automatic operation, or disabled, depending on, you guys have more options. So you don't need that switch. You can just go over and press an auxiliary button, and the car will, just this car will answer that IR riser. Alright, here's another option of using a swing operation for an inconspicuous riser. So the car's still going to stay in the group, so we're going to put this back to local dispatcher, to alternate dispatcher from local dispatcher. I'm going to send it. This is in the iCue. So here we're going to still be in iCue. We're going to go to bank A, and we're going to go to select a hall call configuration. This might be 2, 3, 4. You can check out your prints, but it's just showing you an example here. So we're going to put that to 2. So when it's on configuration 2 for hall call eligibility, it's going to go off what you have check marked in here for the cars. So for configuration 2, we want to select car 1. We are going to have car 1 just answer the front main up and front main down, which in this case we have it set up for your DVD operation. For car 2, which would be the swing car answering the auxiliary riser, you guys are going to have these unchecked, deselect, send, and you're gonna have your for your auxiliaries. We just check all these, select. There's no up call for the down, there's no down call for the bottom. We're gonna click send. We're going to go to view, configuration tabs, system IO. Alright. This might be scattered, you might not have this many inputs, but we're going to do a default calls. So this operation will program inputs and outputs based on the number of floors, hall call eligibility, and CFSS 1 eligibility configuration. So it's going to automatically put in our auxiliaries in here because we already put the check marks in for car 2 for the aux. Click OK. So see how they got wiped out, and it's going to go off of what you have in your bank A. So now we have hall call up aux for 012, hall call down aux for floor 2, 020, and so on. We go back to system configuration. So you're gonna go to configurations. Right now, our hall call eligibility active is 1. This could either be timed or manual, where you have to flip a switch and it'll change that configuration for hall call eligibility. But this is the group. So for the group, you'll need that switch to go to your SCIOM board of the group. So the LED turns on when you put the switch on, but keep in mind too, you also need an input on the SCIOM board. So we're gonna go to System IO. We're gonna get your prints out, and we are gonna look for which input it is on your SCIOM board and which node address is programmed for. So we're gonna go down. This is an example. So you wanna make sure you get your prints out. It might be node address 220 for input 4 for SCIOM board. But here we're just gonna manually do it. We're gonna press this little down arrow. We're gonna go to manual configuration inputs. Press a plus. You guys might already have this programmed already. So we're gonna go to hall call configuration input. And click OK. Configuration 1. We want to set that to, it'll go to configuration 2. Okay. And we're gonna send it. So you also need to connect to the SCIOM board to see what the SCIOM board is plugged into. So you have the serial cable going here to the back of your PC. So we're gonna go to SCIOM board configuration, open that up. We're going to connect to it. Okay, so we're gonna program input 16 on the SCIOM board, node address 220. So we want to put 220 on there. 220. We're gonna click submit. All right, that went through. Floor's okay. Okay, we're good. We're gonna exit. We're going to go to system configuration. So hall call eligibility still set to 1. Also for here, you can do an input inventory on the group hall call driver. So that's where you can go to bus on the iCue, do an input inventory, and we're going to scroll down to 220, because you remember we programmed that in. Good, so now we have this.
Hey bro.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Here on the SCIOM board, it noticed that input, so that's a good thing. So when you do that switch, we're gonna see this input go high on here, and it should change the configuration from 1 to 2. Bank A, it'll change to this configuration where car 2 will answer the auxiliary and conspicuous riser, but it won't be taking any front main or front down. Only car 1 will take the front main up. You guys might have 6 cars in here, cars 1 through 6, and only 1 car could do the auxiliary hall calls. So you want to keep that in mind too. Alright, here we're on configurations. Active is 1. Hall call eligibility, hall call configuration says 1. Select a car to configure. Car 1 and 2, we notice that it's just the front, nothing for auxiliary is set for configuration 1. We're gonna test our main. Take car 1. Car 2 is able to go there by the 3rd hall call. You can see that. So this is the main. So now we're going to see what 2 has. Remember, number 2 for car 2 has front auxiliary up, but how are we going to change the configuration for hall call eligibility to B2? So configuration 2, car 2 would be able to answer the auxiliary riser. When you go back to system IO, we need to make sure that that input is high to switch over to configuration 2. That is on your SC IOM board. As you can tell, input 16 is not lit yet, so we're gonna grab a switch or even just jump that input to 120 volts AC. All right, let's do that. All right, we got input 16 jumped to 120 volts AC. You see the LED high. Input is high on the bus tab. We're gonna go to system configuration, click on configurations. Active configuration is 2 now. We're on bank B. We need to make sure we select bank A. So select the hall configuration, it's 2. Select the car to configure. So the car 2 will only be able to use the auxiliary riser. Keep in mind too, your jumpers on your inconspicuous riser. So if it's set up for auxiliary there, so we need to make sure that it's 0 for down and 2 for up. So this is for floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, and so on. So we're gonna go back here. We're gonna go all the way up. We're gonna do an input inventory. All right, so we got hall call up, auxiliary front. So we want to test something out real quick. We want to make sure while it's on configuration 2, that car 2 does not answer any of the front main, which is the either your DVD or if you have your front main up and down push button. So we're just gonna keep pressing these for about 4 or 5 times. Make sure car 2 never registers it, the front main. Pick elevator 1. Alright, so car 1 is answering all of the main. Car 2 is still there. Now we're gonna go and go to system IO. We're gonna press the up auxiliary for floor 1. So that's this one. I'm gonna press the up button. That input light went on for a split second. The output stays latched and it's answering an auxiliary. As you can tell, it's not solid arrows or solid dot, it's an auxiliary, which was an arrow, but it's not solid. So I'm gonna do floor 2 now. Get a down call. So what we're gonna do now is, you guys have, remember with that switch that we did earlier to 20, we're gonna take this switch off and you're gonna see how we're not gonna be able to use that inconspicuous riser that goes to the group. So right now it's high. We're gonna go ahead and take that wire off. All right, that wire's off. Input 16 is back to being low. It's low on there. Go back to system configuration. Active is now 1. With configuration 1, car 1 and 2 are only allowed to do front main up and front main down, no auxiliaries. So we're gonna test your auxiliary riser with the switch off. You could tell they're not latching. That's your conspicuous riser. So now we're gonna verify that car 2 is now able to answer the front main up and front main down. Car 2, there you go. So that covers a true swing, where you would activate a switch and it'll go to the car and it'll put it on swing operation. You can see in the operational status screen, which will use its own hog call driver, its own serial hog call cable. Got that blue and orange twisted pair, plus 521, coming out of your DIN rail to your inconspicuous riser. That's one option to use an inconspicuous riser. Another option is where the inconspicuous riser goes to one of your hog call drivers in the group. This is for the group. And you would activate a input on your SCIOM board, which changes your eligibility, hog call eligibility. And you can check on here what those eligibilities are. Then do your input inventories, make sure it checks out. So it says select a bus 1. So if you have a job that you have 3 hog call drivers, you want to select either hog call driver A, B, or C, and then do an input inventory wherever that inconspicuous riser goes to for that portion. So hopefully this video helped and you guys learned something new today, and take care.